Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really plunging into quite an ancient narrative. It's an excerpt from a Pāli text, the story of the origin of Kālīyakkhinī.
Hmm.
Think of it as, well, like a peek through a time portal, really,
Yeah.
into a world of, family duties, simmering jealousy, and these, massive ripple effects of actions across lifetimes.
It's a fascinating one.
Yeah. So our mission, if you like, is to navigate this pretty intricate story together. We want to understand the core themes, especially around, well, the destructive power of hatred and also the possibility of it actually stopping.
That cessation aspect is key.
Right. This isn't just some dusty old history lesson. It feels surprisingly relevant, actually. Thinking about how conflicts start, escalate, and maybe, just maybe, resolve.
Absolutely. Timeless themes.
Okay, let's unpack this. The story kicks off with a really devoted son. He's single-handedly running the farm, taking care of his widowed mother. A classic picture of filial piety.
It is, yeah. That initial setup, it really shows the strong family bonds, the son's commitment. He takes on everything after his father's gone. It shows a real sense of duty.
You have to wonder about the societal pressure, too.
Oh, definitely. That kind of devotion wasn't just like a personal choice back then. It was a deeply ingrained cultural thing.
Yeah.
A norm.
But then, mom introduces a complication. She decides he needs to marry.
Mm-hmm.
And her reason. He's doing all the work, and she, poor thing, has no peace of mind. It makes you wonder, is it really just about his workload, or is there, something else driving her?
That's a really good question. I mean, she says it's about his labor, but it's highly likely that the pressure around marriage, continuing the family line, that's a huge factor underneath.
Right.
For families then, having kids, heirs, it was crucial. Socially, economically, or lack of peace of mind, that could easily stem from worrying about the family's future, without an heir.
Yeah. The son, he pushes back at first. Quite firmly, apparently. Says he'll look after her for life. Seems like he's okay with how things are, or, well, resigned to it, maybe.
Yeah, his refusal multiple times, actually, it really highlights his dedication to her. But it also hints maybe that he doesn't want to disrupt things, or maybe he senses the trouble marriage could bring.
But mom is persistent. She just keeps at him, stressing his solo efforts, her own unease. And eventually, after saying no again and again, he just silently gives in.
Right.
That quiet agreement after being so resistant, it speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It just shows the sheer weight of that social, the familial pressure. Even though he disagreed, his silence, it signals, the power of those expectations, his deference to her wishes.
It wasn't necessarily a change of heart, maybe.
Probably not. More like an acceptance of what felt inevitable, perhaps.
So the mother sets off to find a suitable young woman. But here's where it gets really interesting. The son steps in. He steers her towards a specific family he prefers. Yeah, and we don't really get told why. Makes you wonder, right? What was his motivation? Did he know them already? Was it about status? Something else?
That ambiguity is fascinating, isn't it? It adds this whole other layer. He wasn't just passive in this then. He had his own reasons, maybe connected to the reputation, social standing. Maybe he even knew the family beforehand. Who knows?
So the chosen woman is brought to their house, and then the text just drops this critical detail, almost like an aside. She was barren. And that simple statement, it just sets the stage for everything that follows. You realize immediately this isn't just a detail, it's the spark.
Precisely. In a society where lineage was absolutely central, that one fact carries enormous weight. It immediately throws a huge spanner in the works for the family's future, and you can just feel the tension building.
Naturally, the mother becomes, well, deeply concerned, fixated, really, on the wife's inability to have children, the threat to the family line. The text even states it bluntly. A family without children perishes, the lineage is not continued.
Yeah, that line really hammers home the cultural imperative. It wasn't just personal desire. It was tied to the actual survival, the continuation of the family unit in that whole social, historical context. So barrenness, it carried this heavy social stigma, plus real practical problems.
So mom starts pushing again, this time to bring in another wife for her son.
Oh, boy.
And he protests. He actually says, "Enough, mother." You can feel his distress, his resistance. He's caught, isn't he, between his mother and, well, respect for his current wife.
That enough, it really conveys the strain he's under. He's probably feeling loyalty to his first wife, frustration with his mother constantly interfering. It sets up this direct clash of wills.
Now, the barren wife overhears this conversation. She knows sons usually don't disobey their parents.
Right.
And this new fear starts. If a fertile wife comes in, she thinks, I'll be treated like a servant. It's a really vulnerable spot she's in. Shows the precarious position of a childless wife back then.
Her fear is completely understandable in that context. A fertile second wife.
Yeah.
That could easily just crush her status, push her into a subservient role. Her anxiety really speaks to the power dynamics, the social hierarchies of the time.
And then, in a pretty surprising turn, she decides she'll find a young woman for her husband herself.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's like a preemptive strike, driven by that fear of losing her place. It's fascinating. Instead of just accepting it, she tries to take control.
That's a truly pivotal moment. It shows her agency, in a situation where she could easily have just been a victim. Her decision, yeah, it is born out of fear, but it shows resourcefulness, a desire to shape her own fate.
Her first attempt fails, though. She asks one family, and they just flat out reject her. Which kind of underscores her vulnerability, right? Her barrenness limits her influence.
Exactly. The rejection shows that despite her trying, her status as a barren woman still carries that stigma. It limits her ability to just arrange things easily. Other families would be cautious, getting involved in something so messy.
But she doesn't give up. She tries another family. And this time, she's got this persuasive argument ready.
Yep.
She points out her own barrenness, the danger to the lineage if there are no kids, and then she promises their daughter will bear a son and become the mistress of the whole household.
Oh, that's clever.
Isn't it? It's like she's manipulating the social values, turning her own weakness into a bargaining chip.
Her argument is incredibly strategic. She's appealing directly to what the other family wants. Their daughter securing a stable future, contributing to a lineage, even if it's not her own biological one originally. It shows she really understands social dynamics.
Yeah.
And she's determined.
And it works. She arranges the marriage, brings the second woman home. So now you've got two wives under one roof, a situation practically designed for tension.
Yeah, introducing a second wife, especially like this, under these circumstances. It creates a highly complex domestic situation, really sets the stage for rivalry, jealousy. The roles and expectations just got way more complicated.
And sure enough, the barren wife's jealousy just explodes. Her thinking is brutally simple. If the new wife has a child, she'll become the mistress. Therefore, I have to stop this.
Chilling.
It starkly shows how fear, insecurity, it can twist into these really harmful intentions.
That thought process reveals the incredibly destructive nature of jealousy, doesn't it? Her fear of losing status, security, it just overrides everything else. Empathy, morality, it leads her down a really dark path.
So she tells the new wife, let me know when you become pregnant. On the surface, it sounds maybe concerned, like solidarity, but underneath it's just sinister. It's her way to monitor, to control.
That seemingly innocent request, yeah, it's totally calculated. It lets her track the second wife's fertility, lets her intervene right away. It's a chilling example of how manipulation can hide behind apparent kindness.
The barren wife starts giving regular food to the pregnant woman. Again, looks like care, but she's secretly mixing an abortifacient drug into the food.
Oh, no.
It's such a profound betrayal. Highlights the depth of her desperation, her malice.
The deliberate, repeated poisoning. He just underscores how severe her jealousy is.
Yeah.
How willing she is to inflict harm to get what she wants. It's a disturbing escalation of the conflict.
And tragically, the first pregnancy ends in miscarriage. Then the second one does too. Same awful method. The barren wife is just systematically stopping the new wife from having children.
Those repeated losses
Yeah.
must have been absolutely devastating for the pregnant woman. And it probably created this climate of fear and suspicion in the house, even if the cause wasn't immediately obvious.
But the neighbors, they start to notice something's wrong. They get concerned. They question the pregnant woman, like, is your co-wife harming you? It seems the distress inside the house is becoming visible outside.
The neighbor stepping in suggests a strong sense of community, maybe. An awareness that something bad might be happening. It shows that her actions, even though secret, weren't completely invisible.
So the pregnant woman confides in them, reveals what the barren wife has been doing and why that fear of losing her status. It's like bringing the secret out into the open, potentially shifting things socially.
That revelation is huge. It exposes the barren wife's cruelty, her insecurities. It would likely lead to her being ostracized, seen differently by everyone in the village.
The neighbors advise her, don't tell the barren wife about future pregnancies. Sensible advice, right? Self-preservation.
Definitely.
And so the pregnant woman conceals her third pregnancy.
It's a direct consequence of the barren wife's actions. A necessary step to protect her baby, speaks volumes about the fear and distrust that must have filled that house.
But the barren wife is sharp. She notices anyway.
Oh.
She confronts the pregnant woman, and this time the pregnant woman finally stands up for herself, basically asks, "Why should I tell you after you caused the other abortions?" It's a powerful moment. Direct confrontation.
That response marks a real shift. She's not just a passive victim anymore. She's suffered profound loss, and now she's challenging her tormentor directly.
The barren wife realizes her situation is, well, precarious. The jig is up, pretty much. The text says she thinks we are ruined now.
She knows she's been found out.
Exactly. So she starts watching for an opportunity. And when the pregnancy is full term, she administers another abortifacient.
No, even then.
Even then, a final, desperate, horrific act.
Her realizing she's ruined, it shows she knew the consequences were coming. But that final act, it just shows how consumed she was by jealousy and fear. Utterly consumed.
But this time, because the baby is fully developed, the drug doesn't work as before. The fetus can't be expelled properly. It gets stuck, lying transversely, causes excruciating pain, threatens the mother's life. The physical consequences are just brutal, graphic.
Oh, that's horrific. The description really drives home the devastating physical impact of what she did. Just immense suffering.
In her dying moments, the pregnant woman accuses the barren wife. "You caused the deaths of my 3 children, and now my own death." And then she makes this vow. Upon death, she vows to be reborn as a female ogre, a yakṣiṇī, with the power to devour the barren wife's children.
Wow.
It's a curse born from unimaginable pain and anger. Sets the stage for this cycle of revenge that goes beyond human life.
That deathbed vow, just fueled by grief and rage.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful turning point. The yakṣiṇī, this creature of immense power and wrath, it signifies the sheer intensity of her desire for revenge. It kicks off this cycle of violence that's going to escalate way beyond the human realm.
And true to her word, she dies and is reborn almost instantly, as a cat, in the same house.
So fast.
Yeah, swift and unsettling, suggests her vengeful intent just manifested immediately.
That rapid rebirth, right back in the same place. It suggests the strength of her karmic imprint, driven by that powerful vow.
The husband, meanwhile, he finally learns the truth. Understandably, he's enraged. He severely beats the barren wife, blames her for ending his lineage.
Good, brutal.
Yeah, a violent reaction. But it highlights how important that lineage was and his profound sense of loss.
The husband's violence, harsh as it is, it reflects that deep cultural value placed on continuing the family line, and his devastation, realizing she destroyed his hopes for descendants.
The barren wife dies from the beating and is reborn as a hen in the very same place.
The cycle continues, and the roles potentially reverse now.
Yeah, the hen, vulnerable.
Exactly. Sets her up as the potential victim in the next round.
And the cat, the former pregnant woman, doesn't waste any time. Every time the hen lays eggs, the cat eats them. 3 times.
Oh, man.
The cycle of harm just keeps going, even in animal form. Instinctual revenge.
The cat's actions directly mirror what the barren wife did, destroying the pregnancies. It's just perpetuating the cycle of loss and suffering in a new form.
So the hen, after losing her eggs 3 times, makes her own vow to be reborn, able to devour the cat and her offspring.
So the hatred is just escalating, getting deeper with each rebirth.
Seems like it. It's a clear tit for tat. Vengeful intentions passed back and forth now across species.
Yeah.
So the hen dies, reborn as a leopard. The cat dies, reborn as a doe.
Okay, predator and prey.
And the leopard, the former hen, devours the doe's offspring 3 times.
The cycle seems completely inescapable, just playing out through the natural order now.
It really does. These rebirths, the probation, it vividly shows how relentless, how all-consuming hatred can be, how it drives actions, perpetuates suffering across lifetimes, across different forms of existence.
It's quite bleak at this point.
It is, until the doe, at the point of death, makes her own chilling vow to be reborn as a yakṣiṇī, to devour the leopard and her children.
Back to the yakṣiṇī.
The cycle's coming full circle, back to the mythical realm where the power of vengeance is just amplified.
The doe's final vow, becoming a yakṣiṇī. It's like the culmination of all that accumulated hatred, brings this cycle back to the supernatural, foreshadowing another direct confrontation, presumably in human form again.
And that's what happens. The leopard, the former hen, dies and is reborn as a noblewoman in Sāvatthi. She grows up, gets married, settles near the city gate, eventually has a son. Looks like a fresh start, right? A chance to break free.
You'd hope so. But you feel the weight of the past, don't you? The seeds are still there.
Oh, yeah. That seemingly peaceful rebirth. The new life. It creates this stark contrast with the yakṣiṇī rebirth we're expecting. builds the tension. We're just waiting for them to meet again.
Definitely.
So the doe, now the yakṣiṇī, shows up at the noble woman's house, disguised as a beloved friend.
Oh, that's chilling. The deception. Using trust to get close.
Exactly. Classic folklore trope, maybe, but it highlights how insidious vengeance can be. Strikes when you least expect it, wearing a familiar face. She asks about her friend, learns she's just given birth.
And you know what's coming.
She goes into the room, pretends to admire the baby, then snatches it, devours it, and leaves.
Horrifying.
Swift, brutal, and a horrific fulfillment of the vow. And then it happens again with the noble woman's second child.
Oh, the poor woman. The repetition, the cycle of loss just continues. Shows the yakṣiṇī's absolute focus on revenge.
Unimaginable grief and terror for the noble woman.
Absolute.
So during her third pregnancy, the noble woman is understandably terrified. She tells her husband, I'm going to my family home to give birth. Hoping to escape, find refuge.
A completely natural response. Trying desperately to find safety, protect her child in a place she knows.
But plot twist, at that time, the yakṣiṇī is actually away.
Where?
She's on this long, arduous duty, fetching water for King Vesavana from way off at Likanotata. Takes months. Apparently so tough, some yakṣiṇīs even die from exhaustion.
Wow, so that creates a gap, a potential escape.
A temporary reprieve, yeah. A moment of hope. It also adds this interesting detail about the yakṣiṇī's own existence, her burdens.
True.
But as soon as she gets back and she's swift, she learns the noble woman has gone. And her reaction, pure, vengeful intent, thinks, wherever she goes, she will not escape me, and sets off towards the city.
Her determination is just chilling, that powerful hold of hatred.
Her immediate pursuit, it just underscores the intensity of her obsession. No respite for her. Her focus is solely on that vow. So it's the day of the naming ceremony. The noble woman bathes the child, names him, starts heading home with her husband. They take a path through the monastery.
Interesting choice of path.
Maybe seeking some kind of peace or blessing. She hands the baby to her husband while she bathes in the monastery pond.
Perhaps seeking solace, yeah. Protection in a spiritual place, even subconsciously.
She comes back, takes the baby while her husband bathes, starts nursing him, and then she sees her.
Yakṣiṇī.
Approaching, recognizes her instantly, cries out to her husband, hurry, it's her! The tension is just unbearable.
Oh my goodness, the moment of recognition, the warning, the confrontation you knew was coming is finally here.
She can't wait for him. She turns, runs towards the inner monastery, and places her baby right at the feet of the Buddha, who is miraculously right there, teaching in the assembly. It's this ultimate act of seeking refuge. Surrendering her child to the highest spiritual authority. She pleads, save my child, I offer him to you.
Placing the child at the Buddha's feet. That's such a powerful act of faith, of surrender, seeking protection from ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom. It shows her complete helplessness, her reliance on something beyond the cycle of revenge.
And Sumana, the deity guarding the gatehouse, actually stops the yakṣiṇī from just rushing in.
Even a deity recognizes the power there.
Yeah, underscores the sanctity, the protective power of the Buddha's presence.
Remarkable. Even supernatural beings respect that authority.
Then the Buddha tells Ananda, his attendant, to summon the yakṣiṇī. Ananda calls her, and she comes.
Even her rage yields.
It seems so. Even that force of vengeance yields to the Buddha's spiritual authority.
Incredible.
The Buddha tells her to be silent and asks the fundamental question, why do you act this way? Then he makes this powerful statement. He says if they hadn't come before him, their hatred would have lasted for an eon.
An eon.
Yeah. He compares it to the endless enmity between, snakes and mongooses, bears and certain trees, crows and owls. Just paints this terrifying picture of potentially endless suffering.
That really emphasizes the potentially infinite cycle of hatred and revenge. The immense suffering from unresolved conflict across countless lives. Those analogies really hit home how entrenched that kind of animosity can become.
He questions why they perpetuate it, this cycle of hatred, retaliation, and then declares that profound truth. Hatred ceases by non-hatred, never by hatred.
Simple yet revolutionary, especially in this context. A radical shift.
It's the core teaching of the whole story, isn't it? The Buddha directly addresses that fundamental law of cause and effect in emotions. Non-hatred is the only true antidote.
Exactly.
He then speaks that timeless verse. Hatred is never appeased by hatred in this world. It is appeased by non-hatred. This is the eternal law. Concise, powerful, transcends time, culture.
It really encapsulates the central message. Non-hatred isn't just like a moral suggestion. It's presented as a fundamental principle for ending conflict.
And the commentary explains it further using these vivid analogies, like trying to clean filth with more fill just makes it worse. Retaliating with hatred just fuels more hatred.
Makes sense.
But conversely, like clear water washing away dirt, hatred is pacified by non-hatred, by patience, loving kindness, wise reflection, consideration. These are like practical tools.
The analogies make it really tangible, don't they? How those positive qualities can actively counteract and ultimately dissolve the negative ones.
And this cessation of hatred through non-hatred, the commentary says, this is the ancient Dharma, the path of all Buddhas, Pācceka Buddhas, Arahants, the enlightened ones. It's presented as the ultimate path away from suffering, not just an idea, but the way to break free.
Connecting it to the path of enlightened beings really emphasizes how effective it is. Its role in achieving spiritual awakening, freedom from that cycle of suffering.
And here's the amazing part, a testament to the teaching's power. At the end of this discourse, the yakṣiṇī, she attained Sotapaddi fruition, stream entry.
Wow.
Instantly.
It seems so. A profound shift in her understanding. It guarantees her eventual enlightenment, shows the immense power of the Buddha's teaching, and it benefited everyone listening too, apparently. Her transformation is immediate, deep. Her attaining stream entry, it demonstrates that transformative potential, doesn't it? That even hatred, that ingrained, can be overcome. A path to liberation can be found. It's a powerful illustration of what true understanding can do.
So then the Buddha tells a noblewoman, give your child to the yakṣiṇī.
Whoa. After everything.
Exactly. Understandably, the noblewoman is terrified. I mean, entrusting her child to this being, that's a monumental ask.
Her fear is completely natural, totally understandable given the history, highlights the deep trauma, the distrust created by that cycle of violence.
But the Buddha reassures her, says basically, no danger will come, trust me. He's seen her transformation, right? Those first steps on her path.
His reassurance underscores his deep insight, his confidence in the power of his teaching. He sees the potential for change, even in those who've done terrible things.
So hesitantly, she gives her child to the yakṣiṇī. And then, this truly moving moment, the yakṣiṇī takes the child, kisses him, embraces him, then gives him back to his mother and starts to weep. It's such a powerful display of that inner shift, the breaking down of all those lifetimes of hatred.
Her tenderness towards the child, the tears, it signifies this profound emotional release, the start of her healing. It's a tangible sign of the change inside her.
The Buddha asks why she's crying, and the yakṣiṇī explains her practical problem now. In the past, even struggling, she couldn't get enough to eat. How will she live now? Her concern shifts from vengeance to just basic survival.
That's fascinating. Her question reveals the underlying suffering, the insecurity that maybe even fueled her vengeance in the first place. Highlights how important addressing basic needs is for real transformation.
The Buddha consoles her, tells her not to worry, instructs the noblewoman, take her home, give her good food, care for her.
Compassion, extended even to the former enemy, shows how empathy can break down those barriers.
It really emphasizes the importance of practical support, doesn't it? Integration into the community. It's essential for reconciliation, for healing. Not enough just to change your mind. You need a path for a new way of living. So the noblewoman takes the yakṣiṇī to the shed with the mortar and pestle, cares for her, gives her the best food. But then, this unexpected problem, the yakṣiṇī finds the sound of the rice pounding unbearable, like a pestle hitting her head.
Ooh, lingering trauma.
Seems like it. Maybe from a past life, or just the weight of her actions, it still lingers.
That visceral reaction shows the deep psychological impact of her past. Certain sounds, environments, they can trigger things, even after a big shift in understanding.
So she asks her friend, the noblewoman, find me another place to live, I can't stay here. They try various spots, the shed again, a water jar, the hearth under the eaves, the rubbish heap, the village gate.
She rejects them all.
Rejects them all, cites discomforts the pestle sound, kids pouring water, dogs sleeping, kids, well, defecating, rubbish being thrown, village kids practicing archery nearby. She's surprisingly particular even now.
Her rejections highlight how complex reintegration can be, the lingering sensitivities, even after a profound spiritual shift. At the touch of realism, maybe. Transformation isn't always neat and instant.
Finally, they settle her in a secluded open space outside the village. And the noblewoman keeps bringing her the best food and care there, a peaceful resolution, respecting her need for space.
Finding that suitable place acknowledges her need for a supportive environment as she adjusts. shows the noblewoman's continued compassion, her understanding.
And the yakṣiṇī, grateful for this help, decides to repay her friend's kindness.
Wow.
She uses her supernatural abilities, but for good now. She foretells the rainfall. Tells the noblewoman, plant high this year, there'll be lots of rain. Then plant low next year, there'll be a drought.
Wow. Using her powers positively.
Exactly, a complete reversal. This act of gratitude, of helpfulness, it demonstrates her positive transformation, using her abilities to benefit others.
That's wonderful.
And as a result, yeah, other people's crops fail because of the unpredictable weather. But the noblewoman's crops, they thrive exceedingly.
So people notice.
People notice, they get curious. Her consistent harvests, despite the weather, it leads to questions. And eventually, she reveals the yakṣiṇī's role.
That contrast in success really highlights the tangible benefits of the yakṣiṇī's help, draws the community's attention, paves the way for her reintegration.
The noblewoman explains, my friend the yakṣiṇī, she foretells the rain. We plant accordingly. She even points out the food constantly going from her house to the yakṣiṇā, openly acknowledges their unusual friendship.
Her honesty builds trust, helps integrate the yakṣiṇī further, breaks down old prejudices. It's about transparency.
Then she suggests maybe others should offer the yakṣiṇī good food too. In return, she'll watch over your work. And they do. The whole city starts offering respect, provisions. She becomes this respected figure.
That collective offering, it marks her full acceptance, reintegration. She goes from being feared, vengeful, to being respected, even relied upon. What a transformation.
From then on, the text says she watches over everyone's work, gets great gain, has a large retinue. Later, she even sets up these 8 regular food distributions, which, according to the text, continued up to the time it was written. And that, finally, is the story of the origin of Kālīyakkhinī. What an incredible journey. From hatred to, well, community benefactor.
It truly is a remarkable narrative arc. Illustrates that incredibly hard yet ultimately possible path. From deep-seated hatred, that cycle of revenge, to reconciliation, transformation, and even becoming a source of good for the whole community.
So let's try and sum up the key takeaways. This deep dive, it really reveals a powerful truth about how incredibly destructive that cycle of vengeance is. We saw how jealousy, fear, just fueled it across lifetimes, caused immense suffering for everyone. Beyond just drama, it shows how corrosive unresolved conflict is, how easily negative emotions escalate.
And what's really insightful is how it unpacks the motivations, the consequences for everyone. The societal pressures about lineage, the psychological toll of barrenness, how jealousy leads to horrific acts, and the rebirth cycle just amplifies it all, showing how hatred perpetuates itself if it's not addressed.
And the pivotal moment, no question, is meeting the Buddha. His teaching hatred ceases by non-hatred. That's the ultimate turning point. Shows the transformative power of wisdom, of compassion. Breaking free requires this fundamental shift in how we approach conflict.
The Buddha's intervention gives that profound insight.
Yeah.
Real resolution isn't about payback or more escalation. It's about understanding the roots of suffering and choosing nonviolence, compassion. The yakṣiṇī's transformation, yeah, it took time even after the teaching, but it shows even deeply ingrained negativity can be overcome. With the right guidance, genuine commitment.
And thinking about this for you listening, you can see how this ancient story offers really profound insights into conflict in our own lives, not just big dramatic things, but everyday disagreements, resentments maybe.
Definitely.
The Buddha's teaching isn't just like abstract philosophy. It feels like a practical guide for handling difficulties with people, breaking free from those frustrating, repetitive cycles of negativity in relationships, even within ourselves.
This story really invites us to look at our own responses to conflict, doesn't it? Are we feeding negative cycles? Or are we actively looking for ways to de-escalate, find understanding? It prompts us to consider the power of non-hatred, not as being passive, but as an active choice to respond differently.
So here's a final provocative thought for you to mull over. Think about those times, maybe in your own life, or just the things you see in the world, where cycles of negativity or conflict seem really stuck, really entrenched. What might it actually look like to actively apply that principle of non-hatred to those situations? Even in small ways. And maybe more importantly, what surprising potential for real transformation might exist for you and for the situation if you could. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.